is supervised by His Excellency Dr. Ali Naimi, the chairman of the World Muslim Communities Council, including a number of specialized webinars, including Asia webinar and the webinar with the Americans and other such webinars and conferences. And we have also had a number of series of conferences and webinars sponsored by the World Muslim Communities Council, and a number of webinars have been conducted with our colleagues in Southeast Asia. The objective is to continue to communicate with you and to pinpoint the needs, and also to be able to address the challenges that Muslims have been facing, and what the Muslim communities have been facing in this region in particular, which has a large number of people and a huge population, particularly that now we are more than 1 year into the pandemic, and not in Indonesia, I mean New Zealand, yes, New Zealand, yeah. And New Zealand, after more than 1 year after the issues or the attacks that took place in New Zealand, and after this, and now more than 1 year and a half after the impact of that event and how it impacted the Muslim communities in that region. So now with us, His Excellency Dr. Ali Rashid Naimi, the chairman of the World Muslim Communities Council. Please start inaugurating this webinar. In the name of Allah, the compassionate, the merciful, praise be to Almighty Allah, and peace be upon Prophet Muhammad and all his family members and companions. First and foremost, I would like to express my appreciation to your excellencies and your eminences, our dear brothers and sisters. First and foremost, I would like to congratulate you on the holy month of Ramadan. I know this comes a little bit late, but I supplicate Allah to make this holy month the month of mercy and blessings, and being saved from hellfire, particularly now that we are on the last 10 days of the holy month, in which Muslims all over the world, and particularly in your region, Muslims are living spiritual atmospheres and spiritual environment, and it is highly important to invest into that opportunity to get closer to Almighty Allah and to show more tolerance and solidarity among Muslims, and also to reflect the true image of Islam, the religion of peace and mercy to non-Muslims and towards non-Muslims as well. Your region is a region that radiates the image of and projects actually the image of Islam and the bright image of Islam, because Islam reached your region in an easy and great manner under the slogan of mercy and compassion, and being compassionate towards humanity. So hundreds of millions of people in your region embraced Islam because of people who were committed to the ethical values of Islam and manifested these values in their acts of worship, in their devotions, and in dealing with other people in a merciful manner and in a compassionate manner. That is why it is highly important that the roots of Islam in your region must go on and must continue to now boost the other areas and the other Muslim communities, to boost them with the same tolerant values, because it's not just a region that needs this. The entire world and the entire Muslim world as well needs to learn from you, and to learn from and benefit from the image of Islam that you have projected, which is based on compassion and mercy towards everyone. No doubt, the COVID-19 pandemic has definitely surprised the entire world with its massive impact, and the continuity of this pandemic, and definitely the challenges that resulted from the pandemic. Moreover, it also generated a number of opportunities among Muslims to also have solidarity among themselves, and also to deal with non-Muslims as partners in their homeland, as partners in responsibility, as partners in looking after human beings and protecting their well-being, and also a message to the leaders in your countries that Muslim individuals are keen on protecting their homelands. They shoulder responsibilities and they deal in a responsible manner with the different decisions of the governments and the directives of the government and protective measures, and interact with them in a highly positive manner in a way that boosts the protection of people's lives and well-being. That is why it is highly important, based on this, to learn a host of lessons from this pandemic of how to live in those communities and how to protect these communities and how to project the image of Islam as a responsible religion that protects people and seeks to protect people, whether they are close to us or far from us, whether those people are Muslims or are partners in our homeland. The entire world now is looking at the post-COVID-19 era, and the entire world tries to learn the lessons that can be learned from that pandemic. It is highly important also for you and your region to learn these lessons, particularly in protecting your young people from, first, you need to protect their lives and their health and their well-being. Then you will also need to make sure that they play a positive role in your communities and to be highly active in developing your countries and to express the values of Islam in a responsible manner, because Islam is the religion of mercy and compassion and peace. I wish you all the best in this webinar, and I would like to thank you very much for your interaction and contribution. And I supplicate Almighty Allah to allow us to meet face to face, and instead of meeting via Zoom, we can meet face to face, God willing. Thank you, and peace be with you. Peace be with you. Your Excellency, Dr. Ali Rashid Naimi, the chairman of the World Muslim Communities Council, would like to thank you for your inaugural speech. And this is a reminder that we organize this webinar in collaboration with the Fatwa Center in Australia, and would like to thank His Excellency Sheikh Salim, the head of the Fatwa Council, and also a founding member of the World Muslim Communities Council, and would like to thank him. Would like to thank Sheikh Salim for co-hosting this meeting and coordinating this meeting, whether with our fellow Muslims in Australia, New Zealand, Indonesia, and the other countries that are part of the same association in Southeast Asia. There are many challenges that Muslims are facing, as pointed out by His Excellency Dr. Ali Rashid Naimi, whether we're talking about Muslim communities and Muslim people, whether they are minorities or expatriate communities and governments and states, all of them are facing a major number of challenges, particularly that we have seen that in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic, there is a dire need for compassion among humans and collaboration to combat and to address the impact and ramifications of this pandemic, because the impact of the pandemic have been devastating, economic and social, and at the healthcare level as well. So what is the role of religious institutions during this crisis? And how can religious establishments and jurisprudence centers, how can they shape hope and boost a sense of hope among Muslims? And how can they ensure that we will have a jurisprudence-related momentum that can correlate and be able to address these ramifications, and not just to base the jurisprudence on the traditional concepts which do not encompass all of these factors which may enable us to provide solutions to these challenges. Of course, traditional concepts have all the due respect, and all the previous efforts of our scholars are well respected, but the call today is to perceive of these traditional juristic concepts in a way that enables us to perceive of it as an element that supports our efforts and boosts our efforts to have juristic rules that adapt to the basic concept of the change of fatwas and meeting the needs and meeting urgent needs and necessities and the impact and facing the impact of massive calamities. So the ability to ensure that the jurisprudence element is a key and a critical element to the community. This requires a large number of scientific efforts and research efforts to ensure that the Islamic Sharia plays a central part in our life, particularly in our social lives as Muslims. And jurists and Muslim scholars should be keen on ensuring that the objectives of the Islamic Sharia should always be something that they keep in mind when they issue fatwas among the societies. And from this perspective, we need to ensure that we have a social vision of Islam and to liberate Islam from the hegemony of some trends and some groups that wants to hijack Islam and turn it into a political project and a mundane project that meets their own aspirations. We need to ensure that we have a full understanding of religious texts to be able to have the proper interaction and collaboration with all the elements of the community in our communities. We need firm bases and rules and foundations in the field of jurisprudence and juristic scholars who are able to support and boost juristic research. And this is something that shows that Islam is valid to all places and all times, and the sound reply and the proper reply and answer to those who wants to shut down and completely avoid any sort of exercising further efforts in the field of jurisprudence to develop it. That is why these juristic centers need to boost and enhance juristic research or research in the field of jurisprudence and Islamic jurisprudence, and to ensure that all of these religious establishments shape a new mentality and a new approach in the field of jurisprudence that empowers imams and scholars in this massive region, which has a huge number of people and a massive population, as pointed out by His Excellency Dr. Ali Naimi, that this region, Southeast Asia, embraced Islam not because of a war or not because of any such a thing, but because of a peaceful call to Islam and because of the beautiful role model put forward by a host of Muslims and the efforts exerted by many Muslims, particularly our colleagues in Hadramaut, our famous scholars who came from Hadramaut to Southeast Asia and spread Islam. The journeys are quite famous there. So now today we want to emerge from the jurisprudence of objectives to the jurisprudence of juristic rules. The jurisprudence of objectives, unfortunately, there are those who use the jurisprudence of objectives for their own purposes to legitimize everything and to legitimize any act or deed according to specific objectives or to specific interests that they call for. No, juristic research and shaping fatwa and issuing fatwa and shaping intellect must be based on solid foundations and firm foundations that were put forward by scholars and imams and rules and that can pave the way for serious scientific research efforts, and not just something that is demagogic and something that aligns itself to certain groups or trends that wants to achieve their own interests via Islam, and instead of using Islam as the main organizing factor for their life and as a source of devotions and acts of devotions mandated by Islam. I would like to thank you very much, and I would like to thank all our colleagues and all our scholars and imams who communicate with these Muslim communities and major Muslim communities, and the World Muslim Communities Council under the patronage of my dear mentor, Dr. Ali Rashid Al-Aimi, is dedicated to supporting you. And today in this webinar, we have come to listen to your needs and to listen to your requirements and listen to the opportunities that you perceive of as available nowadays and that Muslim communities such as. Please, Your Excellency Sheikh Salim, the floor is yours. Please start with your intervention. Go ahead, please. Thank you very much. I would like to thank you, and I will not take up too much time. In the name of Allah, the compassionate, the merciful, and praise be to Almighty Allah, and peace be upon Prophet Muhammad and all his fellow prophets and all his companions and family members and all those who follow in the footsteps until Judgment Day. Almighty Allah says that the holy month of Ramadan is the month in which the Holy Quran was revealed as guidance to humanity and signs of guidance. Those who are arrived during the month should fast during the month or throughout the month. Would like to start this webinar, which is sponsored by the World Muslim Communities Council, which is chaired by His Excellency Dr. Ali Naimi and the Secretary General, Dr. Muhammad Al-Bishari, with the different time zones and the different stress of work during particularly the last 10 days of the month of Ramadan. We have with us Dr. Khalifa Hasi from New Zealand. Now it's sunset prayers times. Now in Sydney, it's the afternoon prayer time. And we have with us Dr. Muhammad Zain Majdi, the head of the Graduates of Al-Azhar Association in Indonesia. Now it's afternoon in Indonesia. And we have Dr. Zoho Wanzandai, the head of the National Fatwa Association in Malaysia. And now the time zone in the UAE is early morning. We would like to thank you very much for joining us from different time zones, and we appreciate your participation. We supplicate Almighty Allah to ensure that this webinar is a blessed one and supports everybody's needs. It is wonderful to meet through this virtual webinar, and we hope that we will meet face to face. This is something that boosts communication and enhances our ties and boosts our ties, particularly that we're now in the last 10 days of the holy month of Ramadan. And now we are in a very sensitive period of time, a time in which the Muslim nation needs to join forces to spread correct concepts. And also we need to pay special attention to young people in terms of upbringing them and providing guidance to them and explaining things to them, because they are the backbone of the Muslim nation, and any negligence of young people will make them fall prey to extremist and deviated concepts. Our dear guests, of course, all of you know what and how people have been affected by the impact of COVID-19 pandemic and the healthcare crisis and the social and economic and political crisis that resulted from it. For religious leaders, we've had major role to play. Particularly, we had in the Fatwa Council in Australia, we had a very clear stance to support the government of the country, particularly the Ministry of Health and the healthcare authorities, to implement the precautionary measures to reduce or to prevent the spread of this virus, because all of you know how important to protect people's health and well-being, because these are among the greatest blessings that Almighty Allah endowed upon us, and we need to protect and maintain those blessings, because prevention is better than cure, of course. One of the most important factors in terms of protection and prevention is observing cleanliness. Following and implementing precautionary measures is fully aligned with the religious values of Islam. Almighty Allah created everything, and all the things happen by the will of Almighty Allah. Yet, and despite what has happened, we have found in the so-called the digital technology or the social platforms, we have found a window in them to communicate with the community, to convey the messages of raising awareness and to encourage people to be committed to these laws and regulations and precautionary measures to avoid the spread of the virus. And thank God, from this perspective, the Fatwa Council in Australia has been taking the lead in benefiting from these latest technologies and highly developed technologies. So on a daily basis, we started communicating with the community.
على مبدأ التعاون على البر والتقوى وسعيا إلى التناصح والدعوة إلى الله بالموعظة الحسنة.
And also to call Allah blessings. Also in Dar al Fatwa, we followed with the fatwas that people asked. And as we know, with the help of other good people, we distributed donations because of the economical problem. So we benefited from getting together and to take the support to continue in this way, as in our religion, Allah urged us, as we are especially in Ramadan, and how to deal in a good way with the others, with the older, with the elder, with the Muslim, with the non-Muslim, and how also to love goodness to everybody. So these principles is establishing for the future young the correct way and protecting them from any bad ideas. We are in a great need for such meetings, as it strengthens the moderate people and moderate establishments. It's nice together from all these countries to see what is the needs of Muslims in different foreign countries, how we can protect these communities, we can be partners in action, how we show the real message of Islam and also the good moral in Islam, how we deal with our neighbors. We are here in Australia, for example, how to deal with other with neighbors, Muslims or non-Muslims, dealing with all these honorable people that give strength and focus to continue in this way. So again, I would like to thank you very much for this meeting. It's very useful, and I pray to Allah to have all the blessings. And I would like to thank you very much for the World Muslim Communities Council in Abu Dhabi. And may Allah accept our actions. Ramadan Kareem. Sorry. Dr. Muhammad, please unmute yourself. Dr. Muhammad, please unmute yourself. Yes, now. I said maybe you understand the sign language. I first would like to thank our brother Sheikh Salim for his intervention, where he spoke about the effort of Dar al Fatwa in Australia. And this is not strange of our brothers in Dar al Fatwa, as here we are doing our best. So I would like to thank you very much, and always it's welcome to cooperate with you and to communicate together, as you are the best to represent these moderate communities, not only in your countries, but you are now a role model for all Muslim communities. So I would like to thank you very much, and I would like to thank you and strengthen the cooperation. Sheikh Salim, please continue in moderating this session with our brothers. Thank you very much. I would like to introduce Sheikh Khalifa, because now he has got Al-Maghrib time and Iftar time, in order not to take long from him. And he is a good man and good Sheikh, an active Sheikh there. So, Sheikh Khalifa, please, the floor is yours to speak to us. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. I would like to beg your pardon. As you mentioned, Dr. Salim, it's now time for iftar. And also, I had a problem in the computer. So I beg your pardon for the delay. Sir, I didn't hear all what you said, but from the topic of this nadwa, it's considered an important thing.
أحوال المسلمين والله المسلمون في خاصة في هذه المناطق وهذه الدول، ومن تسارع الأحداث وتسارع الأمور السياسية والحضارة والتكنولوجيا، فأحوال المسلمين حقيقة فعلا تحتاج إلى كثير من يعني ربما يكون الاجتهاد
and maybe اجتهاد or fighting the self. This is very important to cope up with the events, especially what happened here with the people of minorities, where Muslims are little, like Australia or New Zealand. So to exploit the occasions, and I see here that because of experience and because of your high status, we need to look at that, how to unify the main reference for us. Unfortunately, the conflicts outside, and there isn't a common reference. We have, for example, in Arabic and Muslim countries, Awqaf, Ministry of Awqaf, but as you know, so I would like to encourage Al-Majlis or the Council to work on guiding. There should be one reference like Al-Azhar or a reference, because what impacted Muslims outside are the previous past sheikh with different opinions and different fatwas. So they see, they brought different backgrounds, as we hear Ahl al-Zimma. So this is what I want, like Dr. Salim and the other brothers, to focus on the cooperation with Al-Azhar and not give these people the floor to deal freely without knowledge. Here, the countries, they have laws and they can do a lot. They can establish and talk, which is against Al-Jama'ah. So it's very advisable from the council or the scientific people to try to prevent, not only for laws, but also to be present and to be delegated by these countries. And the World Muslim Countries Council maybe can help in this regard. I'm not sure if it's clear, Dr. Salim, not to give the floor for the others, because they will not be able to fight with him in the laws. But here, with history, with not to give them the floor. So this is my opinion in this regard, and Allah has all the knowledge. The second thing, to benefit from the people matters. We are the time of technology, and this generation, they are better. So we need to look. There is a proverb: what you win with, play with. And our religion doesn't go against the civilization. It's not about the mosques or lectures, but even at home, we have the electronic or webinars. To unify that, or to unify this for Ahl Sunnah al Jama'ah, that will have the best ideas. Now we will see and look. We see now many centers, but here we talk about the unification and to have this technology as much as possible, especially for dua or the reference universities now outside. And we ask Allah for all the blessings and support. Please, if you have anything that is related to New Zealand or Christchurch, I would like to answer. If you have any question, please, if you can tell us a little after this accident, how is the Muslims matters? Thank Allah. After this accident, many things happened, and most of it were positive. Of course, there is, as you know, there is negatives, some negatives. There is different people. But people come closer between the communities and between people, and how the organization look at people. They are now more, they have sympathy, and we need to be together. And now we have support from the government. So this is a chance, and that gives Muslims a chance to be aware about some matters. Now we have more Muslims in Christchurch. Even we expected that the Muslims will move from it, but according to the current statistics, we see more people in the same city. So during Friday, we will need another 2 or 3 other mosques, because there is increase. And also for Muslims to understand how to deal here and understand the laws. This is a chance for coexistence. So this is part of it. We need also a spiritual direction, and to do tawakkul on Allah, and to be tolerant. Also, another benefit here, we need to exploit that on the level of big establishment. So maybe we can do something for Muslims, especially here in New Zealand, which is a far country. So maybe there is a chance for the Islamic Council and Central and Australia, you can do something for us. As you know, the number is little here, but still we see it is a good place for Muslims.
شكرا لك كثيرا.
Thank you very much, Sheikh Khalifa.
الوقت الذي أعطيته رغم أنه دخل وقت الإفطار.
We estimated the time and we appreciate your participation. Even iftar has happened now, and hopefully with cooperation with the Muslim Communities Council, we will study this and we'll do our best. Thank you very much for your participation, for sharing with us, and hopefully we will deal with you again. Again, I would like to apologize to you for all the scholars for the delay, and may Allah bless you. Thank you very much. Now, we move to Dr. Wan Zahidi, the head of National Fatwa in Malaysia, and this is affiliated to the King, Dr. Wan Zahidi. He has a great experience in this field. Thank you very much. And now, floor is yours. Please unmute your mic, Doctor. Boka mic. Please unmute your mic. Still, we can't hear you. Yes, now we can hear you. Please reopen the mic again. Dr. Wan, we can hear you. We can't hear you now. نعم نعم الآن نسمعك. نعم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Dear brothers and scholars, I would like to welcome you and congratulate to you and all the Muslims for the month of Ramadan, the month of fasting, the month of Holy Quran recitation, and all the blessings to Allah that we reach it. This is the month where Allah gives blessings for Muslims that is not available in all the other months, like removing sins, and Sunnah will be equal to Fard and release from the hell. To have problems, it's normal in this world, as Allah said in the Holy Quran in Anbiya chapter, وَلَنَبْلُوَكُمْ بِالشَّرِّ وَالْخَيْرِ فِتْنَةً, and also in Al-Fath, وَلَنْ تَجِدَ لِسُنَّةِ اللَّهِ تَبْدِيلًا. So COVID-19 pandemic now, the whole world is suffering from, is part of this. What we interest here is how to deal with this pandemic, to what Prophet Muhammad told us when there is a problem. So the people told Muslims how to deal with pandemic, like one al-Bukhari, لا يوردن ممرض على مصح. So if you are sick, don't go and infect the good people. So you need to take the precautionary measures. And this doesn't go a lot against believing in the destiny, as some people understand. When Omar refused to go to a sham because of pandemic there, are you running from Allah's destiny? So Omar asked, we run from Allah destiny to Allah destiny. So imagine if you have camels, one of them is fertile and the other is desert. So the National Fatwa Council, which I head, has got different decisions to guide the Muslims how to deal with this pandemic, and these decisions going along with the precautionary measures that is taken by the country and the government to prevent COVID-19 from spreading. And that shows that Islamic fiqh is very wide and can deal with all issues of life and to deal with the current situation. Dear brothers and sisters, I would like also to alert you for another pandemic, which is also as some people now is going out from this. And some people they are taking terroristic ideas and they kill Muslims
And
for
certainly,
Muslims
a lot
didn't
of
go along with
Muslims
them.
will disagree with them. And this is a major deviation from the moderation of Islam and the moderate nature of Islam. They do what they do in the name of Allah and in the name of Islam. In the name of Islam, and Islam disowns them. Very briefly, I would like to share with you the experience of Malaysia, in combating this phenomenon. Islam in Malaysia started and spread in the king's palace. In the Malawi people, most of them have become Muslims, and those who have spread Islam were very adopting the Shafi'i school of jurisprudence, and Muslims in Malaysia follow the Shafi'i school and the Ash'ari school as well. And this has been the case up till now. The Muslim Malaysians, throughout their history and their long-standing history, they have experienced difficult circumstances, as there were the different periods of colonization for hundreds of years, and then the armed socialist gangs and other things that we faced and challenges in Malaysia. Throughout the time, Muslims clung to their sultans to be able to combat these challenges and combat these issues and overcome these challenges. And when Malaysia obtained its independence, we put an article in the constitution that states that Islam is the state's religion in Malaysia, and that the head of the state must be from one of the Muslim sultans. And the fatwa in Malaysia is not just based on understanding the rules of the Sharia, but it is also an important shield that enables us to protect our communities from deviated and perverted ideas, because fatwa, after issuing a fatwa and then after it is approved and signed and being published in the official gazette, they become a mandatory law for everyone. So if the Mufti issues a fatwa that a certain group adopts deviated ideas and extremist ideas, everyone has to distance themselves from that group, and those who deviate from the fatwa will be punished and according to the Sharia, or they will be sent to the designated center for rehabilitating their religious the concepts. All of this is based on the efforts of Muslim rulers. This is definitely something that we expect because this is the approach adopted by and supported by Almighty Allah and Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, for the Muslims and the rulers. As in the last Hajj or pilgrimage of Prophet Muhammad, he said, supplicate to Almighty Allah and fast during Ramadan and pay zakah to the needy and obey your rulers, and then you will enter paradise. I can summarize what was highlighted in this regard in terms of the Malaysian approach to combat extremist groups. First, we can say that adopting one of the key schools of jurisprudence is one of the main steps. Secondly, supporting the rule of Muslim rulers, and those two elements represent a strong shield against the deviated and extremist ideas and prevent them from spreading into the community. I mean here that we need to adopt a school of jurisprudence that is based on the Holy Quran and Sunnah, as Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, warned us very strongly against violating this approach, which is based on the Holy Quran and Sunnah, in a hadith narrated by Tirmizi, in which he said, those who base their understanding of Quran without sound knowledge will enter hellfire. This is something that I would like to conclude by, and I wish you all the best, and I wish you many happy returns for during the whole month of Ramadan. May Almighty Allah bless all of you. Thank you for the invitation, and peace be with all of you. Thank you very much. Thank you, and peace be with all of you. God bless you. Thank you very much. God bless you. God bless you. We are really pleased to have you with us today, and we are very happy to listen to your very brief but all-encompassing speech. Thank you very much, Dr. Zahidi. Now we will give the floor to the professor of Quran Sciences and Hadith Sciences, the head of the International Organization for the Graduates of Al-Azhar in Indonesia. He was also the governor of the island where he lives in Indonesia, Dr. Muhammad Zain al-Majd. Please, the floor is yours. God bless you.
Bismillahir Rahmanir
In the name of Almighty Allah, the Compassionate, the Merciful, peace be with all of you. Peace be with you. Praise be to Almighty Allah, and peace be upon Prophet Muhammad and Prophet Muhammad, the leader of all those who believe in Almighty Allah and the pious people, and peace be upon all his companions and family members. Our dear guests, Your Eminence, Dr. Ali Rashid al-Naimi, the chairman of the World Muslim Communities Council, and the Secretary General of the World Muslim Communities Council, Dr. Muhammad Bashari, and my dear colleague and brother, Sheikh Dr. Salim Malwan, the Mufti of Australia, and Datuk Zahidi, the Mufti of Malaysia, and Sheikh Khalifa Hasi, the Mufti and Chairman of the Muslim community in New Zealand. Our dear guests, first, it's an honor and a pleasure to attend with you, and it's a great pleasure to participate in this wonderful webinar, God willing. And we have already benefited a lot from what I've heard in this blessed webinar. This webinar, I believe, is actually something that I need to thank you for. I'd like to thank the organizer, my colleague Sheikh Salim Alwan, and the World Muslim Communities Council. I would like to thank you because the topic that you have selected is very important to us in Southeast Asia. And this is something that shows that among us we do have a feeling of fraternity among us, the Islamic fraternity. And I hope that the World Muslim Communities Council will hold more such webinars. In this webinar, I would like to mention a number of points. First, I would like to stress what was highlighted by His Excellency Dr. Ali Rashid al-Naimi at the beginning, that Islam has been introduced into this region in a peaceful manner, and there were no armed conquests at all, but only peaceful presence of Muslims. This is because the scholars who brought Islam to this region were among the Sufi Muslims. They, of course, belong to the people of Sunnah and Jama'ah. You know that Sufi Muslims are the people of compassion and love. They spread Islam because of their compassion and love. So there were no conflicts between Islam and the prevalent culture back then in Southeast Asia, and even with the religion that's the dominant religion before Islam in this region. There were no bloodshed at all, and no temples were demolished in Indonesia up till now. We can see the largest Buddhist temple. It was a temple, but now it turned into a tourist attraction only. It is called Achandi Poro. This temple is the largest Buddhist temple in the world. It is in Java Island, despite the fact that Java is a predominantly Muslim island. From around 110 million people living in Java, around 100 million of them are Muslims. However, we say that we see the great impact of the pre-Islamic culture and the presence of all culture, and how Islam encompassed and accepted all cultures, and there were no conflicts at all between Muslims and Islam on the one hand, and the other religions that were there in Indonesia before the rise of Islam. This is the first point. Secondly, one of the advantages, and I say that is one of the advantages of the region, is that diversity, with regards to the religious diversity, or cultural diversity, or ethnic diversity, in this region is very clear and evident. For instance, in Indonesia, ladies and gentlemen, in Indonesia, we have more than 500 local languages, and each language is completely different from the other. 500 local languages and more than 300 different ethnicities. This is in Indonesia alone. And of course, this is the same case in Malaysia and in other countries in the region. And this diversity creates an atmosphere of peaceful coexistence in the region. And this has an impact in terms of boosting stability in the region, and praise be to Almighty Allah. However, of course, despite that, there are challenges, of course, and some brothers, the Mufti, Mr. Zahdi, mentioned that among the challenges that we are facing now is the emergence of ideas and concepts and extremist ideas and extremely extremist concepts, which consider those who disagree with them infidels, and even consider the vast majority of Muslims infidels, and almost they emerged in the 1980s of the past century. They were introduced into Indonesia. Unfortunately, there are some entities which support these extremist ideas and concepts. And what happened now in Indonesia is that there are centers and societies and charitable associations which adopt these extremist ideas. And this is something that is causing a great deal of disunity within Muslims in Indonesia. Now we are witnessing an extreme intellectual dispute. In some cases, it reached the level of conflict, in material conflict, reached the shape of material conflict, and bad things happened. This is something that we're suffering from in Indonesia. And I would like to say to you, our dear guests, that these ideas and concepts present, in some cases, lead to extremist and terrorist attacks. This happened in Indonesia. And even during the holy month of Ramadan, the authorities in Indonesia arrested some people who wanted to conduct terrorist attacks and explosions in the last days of Ramadan. Given that Ramadan is the month of jihad, so they understand the concept of jihad, that if they conduct terrorist attacks, and they will receive a double reward from Almighty Allah, God forbid. This is something that is happening in Indonesia right now. That is why we and Islamic organizations in Indonesia are currently working extensively in boosting communication and dialogue among the different people to ensure that we can say that we can protect the community from these ideas. Secondly, I would like to say that in addition to the fact that we have good things and good phenomena, and there are more than 300 million Muslims in this region, yet we cannot deny that there are some Muslim communities in some countries which are still suffering from repressive practice. For instance, our brothers, the Rohingya in Myanmar, they are still suffering from repressive and inhumane practice against them. Some of them have become refugees in Indonesia, and some of them reached Sumatra and Java as refugees, and the situation is quite dear guests. I believe that as pointed by Dr. Zahidi, we need to raise our voices. We need to say repeatedly and every single time, we need to stress that those extremist groups with their practice and terrorist practice, they are completely disconnected from Islam. And this is the first point. The second point, we must support our fellow Muslims who are facing repression. For instance, we sent a message from Indonesia to the head of Myanmar, and we spoke to the foreign minister in Indonesia to ensure that the Indonesian government exerts efforts and exerts pressure on the government in Myanmar to stop these practices against our brothers, the Rohingya. And I would like to say these are my comments and my input, and I learned a lot from you, and I'd like to thank you, and I hope that we can meet face to face later on, and I hope we can communicate via Zoom and face to face, God willing. Thank you very much, and peace be with all of you. Peace be with you. Peace be with you. We would like